Elected.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. I call to order the regular session of the New Kent County School Board meeting at 6 p.m. Ms. Davis, please call the roll.
Mr. Pagano,
Present.
Ms. Cunha,
Present.
Ms. Dombrowski,
Here.
Mr. Vaught,
Present.
and Mr. Reimer.
Here.
Do I hear a motion to, all members accounted for? Thank you, Ms. Davis. Do I hear a motion to come out of closed session?
So moved.
Mr. Vaught has the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Reimer has the second. Ms. Davis, please poll the board.
Mr. Pagano,
Aye.
Ms. Cunha,
Aye.
Ms. Dombrowski,
Aye.
Mr. Vaught,
Aye.
and Mr. Reimer.
Aye.
All right, the motion is passed. We are out of closed session. Ms. Dombrowski, could you please read the certification of closed session?
Oh, thank you. Whereas the New Kent County School Board has convened a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions of Virginia Freedom of Information Act. And whereas Section 2.2-3711 of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by the New Kent County School Board that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now therefore be it resolved that the New Kent County School Board hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirement by Virginia law were discussed in closed meeting to which this certification resolution applies, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered by the New Kent County School Board.
Thank you very much. Do I have a motion to approve the certification of the closed?
So moved.
Ms. Cunha has the motion. Do I have a second?
Aye.
Ms. Dombrowski has a
Or
second.
second.
Ms. Davis, please poll the board.
Mr. Pagano,
Aye.
Ms. Cunha,
Aye.
Ms. Dombrowski,
Aye.
Mr. Vaught,
Aye.
and Mr. Reimer.
Aye.
All right, the motion is passed unanimously. The certification is approved. Everybody, please rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, and that first item on the agenda is presentations, recognitions, and school spotlight. Dr. Nichols, take it away.
Yes, sir. And the last school board meeting of the school year, it's an honor to recognize some amazing students, two of which will be graduating in just a few days. So we'll start with our senior of the month, and that is Adair Gifford. She's the daughter of Matthew and Susan Gifford. In addition to being an active member of the National Honor Society, a go-getter in the equestrian world, and a student finalizing her advanced diploma, she also excels within an instructional setting. She's currently enrolled both dual enrollment, English 12, and advanced placement, AP Government, where she's earned a 3.8815. She's worked incredibly hard to remain an straight A student throughout quarter 4. And if you've been a senior, you know that is no easy feat, and a straight A student for the 24-25 school year. She is a participant 4-H for 6 years and started her own business. She's a small business owner, Design Treat Company, an equestrian treat company. She's now going to say a few words about her future plans, her pathway, and her time at New Kent High School.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, school board members, Dr. Nichols, and guests. My name is Adair Gifford. For my decision, I've chosen enrollment. This fall, I'm attending Randolph-Macon College, where I'm studying business. I chose enrollment because I would like to further my education and connections in the business world. I was inspired to follow a path in either business administration or finance because a teacher at New Kent High School named Mrs. Mara. Her business law and management classes made me realize that I like that kind of career and want to follow it. And I was so encouraged that I started my own small business design treat trail where I test not just my cooking skills, but also my marketing and money management skills. And without her classes, I don't think I would have been as prepared to start my own small business. And then at Randolph-Macon, I will also be part of their equestrian team in their honors program, where I will be able to grow and thrive with New Kent High School's education. They've helped me prepare for this by having encouraging and supportive teachers that have inspired me to follow the enrollment path. And before I finish, I'd like to thank Mrs. Strickland for nominating me for Senior of the Month. I'm really grateful for this opportunity. And I also want to say thank you to my parents and teachers for their support in deciding on enrolling. And I'm incredibly thankful for everyone who's believed in me and helped me reach this point. And I'm grateful for all the teachers at New Kent.
Get on the media screen.
Yeah, do it over there. Team you can.
Oh, we're gonna flip,
Oh.
Yeah.
we're gonna follow this. You take this one, I'll follow you. And I'm gonna take this one. Don't mind us.
Yeah.
Well, we'll do recess as well.
All right.
We'll do recess.
Oh, yeah.
I'll stay on track. So now I'm up here. So-
Next recognition is Athletes of the Month.
Yes, sir. I have some incredible student athletes to present to you tonight. One, you will hear deliver a speech either before or after me at graduation. We're still working out those details. So our first student athlete is Olivia Allen. So. If I'm gonna say all these wonderful things, you gotta stand here with me. So Olivia is a 12th grade student at New Kent High School, working through dual enrollment and advanced placement coursework towards her advanced diploma. In addition to her coursework at New Kent High School, she's already graduated from Chesapeake Bay Governor School. She is also, I gave this away, is New Kent High School's 2025 valedictorian. She's worked to earn a 4.616 grade point average. She is the daughter of Edward and Catherine Allen. Her wise sister Emma is also here, so just want to make sure I give her credit. So not only in the classroom, she also excels in the field. In addition to being a soccer player, where she'll play tomorrow night. Olivia is a 3-season student athlete, also participating in field hockey and swim. If memory serves me correct, it's not scripted. There was a season of JV basketball as well, right? Okay, we don't talk about it. Olivia is a player that any coach would love to have. She's a natural leader, gives everything she has in games and practice. She never gives up, and her energy is unmatched. You never have to ask her to try or try harder because she already does. This season is Olivia's best stat season she already has, and I know this is outdated because she got a hat trick at the last game. 11 goals and 6 assists this year. Do you want to update that?
14 and 7.
14 and 7.
Come on.
So in the fall, Olivia will follow the enrollment pathway to go to the University of Virginia. So
Sorry.
Emma got to weigh in on that one. Where she will major in biology, minor in psychology on the pre-med track to become a pediatrician. Outside of school athletics, she enjoys hanging out with friends and family, managing the Berkshire pool, and participating in club field hockey. Olivia is just an absolute phenomenal young person, and I am a better person and leader because I get to hang out with her. So-
Wahoo wah.
Because I can hang out with you.
Now let's see if she says that in public. We'll take pictures. So, not all of our incredible kids are leaving after Thursday for graduation. Fortunately, we have awesome student athletes like Dayton Meekins. So right now, who do you think is faster? You think?
Might be a little bit.
Yeah, okay. So Dayton is a 10th grade student at New Kent High School working through coursework towards his advanced diploma. He's the son of Darren and Melita Meekins. Off the track, he enjoys hanging out with friends, working around his neighborhood with friends in a local lawn care business, coaching flag football, umpiring at Pine Fork Park, and spending time with families. With his family, not just all families. Or, I don't know. Dayton has qualified for the outdoor track and field state championships in the 200-meter dash. He's also part of the 4x100-meter relay team, which qualified for the state championships at the most recent district meet. He's a hardworking athlete. I've seen him on the track and practice. What you see at a meet is because of all the work he puts in. He also inspires younger student athletes to work to their fullest potential during practice. Although he's only a sophomore, he does plan to follow the enrollment pathway, and is interested in attending Hampton University, where his mother is an alum. He wants to acknowledge his track and field coaches and continually keeping him motivated and for encouraging him in the process. Dayton also played football. That's not on my script, but just from my memory. So multiple sport athlete, incredible young man, and only a sophomore. So congratulations. So that concludes my recognitions.
Thank you, Dr. Nichols. At this time, the board will recess for 5 minutes. Anybody who wishes to leave can do so. Of course, please take your pictures in front of the media screen. We are in recess. we are resuming our regular agenda. The next item up is the consent agenda. So board members, by now you've had the opportunity to review the items listed on the consent agenda, including meeting minutes from March 2025 and May 2025, and the superintendent's recommendations regarding personnel matters. Do I have any motions?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I move to remove the May 5th, 2025 minutes from the consent agenda for further review.
Is there a second?
I second.
Ms. Davis, please poll the board.
Mr. Reimer,
Aye.
Mr. Vaught,
Aye.
Ms. Dombrowski,
Aye.
Ms. Cunha,
Aye.
and Mr. Pagano.
Aye. All right, so the motion passes unanimously. And at this point, do I have a motion to approve the remaining items on the consent agenda?
So moved.
That will include, the March minutes, the superintendent's recommendations regarding personnel matters, and the designated school board representative position.
Sorry, so moved.
Thank you. Mr. Reimer has the motion. Do I have a second?
I second.
Ms. Cunha has the second. Ms. Davis, please poll the board.
Mr. Reimer,
Aye.
Mr. Vaught,
Aye.
Ms. Dombrowski,
Aye.
Ms. Cunha,
Aye.
and Mr. Pagano.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Moving on, new business. Mr. Miller, AI guiding principles and protocols.
Good evening, Chairman of the Board and board members, Dr. Nichols. It's my pleasure to come for you tonight, to talk about New Kent and artificial intelligence and sort of what we have going on there. Throughout the last year, we have had a committee that's been working on developing a set of guiding principles and protocols for the use of AI throughout our division. Those, you see the names of the board, Dr. Nichols, myself, Ms. Morgan, Mr. Terry, Chris Leach from the high school, and then Courtney Lewis, one of our technology integration coaches, who is with us here tonight. So with our work, we did a variety of things. We had several professional developments and partnership meetings hosted by the Virginia Department of Education as well as VAS. And we also interacted here locally. We met with students, met with some teachers, gathered feedback on their perception of AI and what does the division need to be doing. And then we developed a set of, again, guiding protocols and principles to be used by the division as AI is used in the classroom or to inform work going on in the classroom. Before we move on, we go back. As a part of those, the regional meetings, there was a lot of also experimentation as well as looking at what are some other basically organizations around the country and how are they utilizing, including both higher ed as well as K-12. Yeah. So this is a graphic of some of the guiding principles. We put together pretty much the summary of all of them. So we looked at a variety of different areas, these 5 here. So teaching and learning being first and foremost, and how it would inform that. So first, with under teaching and learning, that it's going to enhance and not replace instruction. Anytime we look at any technology usage, it should not replace the teacher, it should not replace instruction going in the classroom, but should work to enhance that instruction that's already happening and the good work that our teachers are doing. And so as we look at how AI should be used basically by teachers or students, it should be looked at as how are we making our instruction better and adding on top of it, but not, again, not replacing it. Also, our work revolved around clarifying what was the role of AI in learning. And so we put together some guides on ways that it could be used and should be considered, ways that educators should be considered using in their own work, as well as how to use it with students. We looked at ethical and responsible usage. And so some of the key principles we looked at there and put down is we should be prioritizing student well-being, looking for transparency, and then also monitoring and mitigating bias in the returns that both our employees and our students would be getting from any AI tools that they would be using. As far as transparency, we want students, staff, and parents to have clear expectations and instructions given them on the ways it should be used. And if it's used outside of that, what are the consequences that go along with that? And then also taking a look at how are we respecting students' rights as far as their well-being and making sure that the tools are that are used support learning and don't basically aren't harmful in any way. Accessibility was a big one, ensuring that all of the tools, any AI tools that we would be using, are accessible for all of our students. And so looking at how can we make sure that no matter what the needs of our students, that the tools that we put in place are usable by them, and that all students basically would have access to those tools. And that if we have the opportunity to utilize AI to reduce barriers, doing that as well. And so making sure that we can use it to create better learning materials to enhance our instruction. Fourth was privacy and security. One of the big things there is making sure that our student information is not basically being given out to people who don't need it. And so part of that is not putting any student personal identification into any AI tools, because we don't know where that data is being stored. And so anytime we use it, making sure that if there is any student accounts that are created or whatever with it, those are protected and under basically within barriers. And as we use it, we're not putting like student data in there and asking it to analyze it with identifiers in there. So also minimizing data collection. As I'll talk about in a minute, we're going to be talking with all of our technology vendors. A lot of them are incorporating AI into their programs now. And so we have some discussions to have with them as far as how is it being used and how student information being utilized there. And then lastly, adaptability. We want to make sure that we have ongoing review of the materials that we're using and the tools that we're using to ensure that as they're being used, we're keeping up to date on what's best practice, as well as any consequences of utilizing them. So,
Sorry.
one of the things that we did also to help teachers as well as students is we put together basically some guidelines around ways that it can be used, and some graphics to help teachers as well as students understand as an assignment is being given, how can they use AI, or can they or not. So this is sort of a two-part poster that we've put together for teachers to have that can clarify basically when students should only be utilizing it as teachers allow. And so when should they be doing work that does not have any AI involvement? When should they be using it as a coach or collaborator? What does that mean? And then when should it be an essential tool? So when do they have to use it in an assignment? So that we can be exposing our students to it and teaching our students appropriate utilization of AI before they leave us, and giving them the skills they need to understand what it can do and what it cannot do very well.
So, Mr. Chairman,
Hold on, Mr. Renner.
One of the pieces of this was updating our acceptable use policy. Acceptable use policies are put in place, or regulations are put in place to guide our staff members as well as our students on what they can and can't utilize technology for. It currently does not have any AI language in it because it was written prior to sort of the boom of AI. So we've put together some language to go in there, some permissions on the allowable usage of it. Then we put together some key considerations. So curriculum and pedagogy, how should it fit within the curriculum that we're using, the way we're teaching? Accuracy and fact checking, so making sure that teachers aren't just taking basically whatever it spits out as the truth, and then also utilizing it and ensuring that personal identification information is not being shared on students, are some of the things that we've put together there. Then we also looked at our acceptable use regulations for student usage. If you could go to the next slide. And updated that as well. We have AUP regulations for student usage, and so put in their permissions there as well. And in fact, it's only permitted when and how the teachers have given them instructions to do so. Some of the key considerations that we've put together are a definition of what is original work, because it's no longer, as you start to utilize artificial intelligence to generate information, the lines of what is original work start to become blurry. And so we did put together a definition of that, and then how to utilize and cite AI, because there are now guidelines on the appropriate citation of AI sources, and then consequences for AI misuse if it's being used in ways that are not permitted by the teacher. We put together a vendor letter that will go to our our educational software vendors to clarify their usage of AI within their tools to ensure that they're following the guidelines that we're following, and especially around the security standpoint and making sure that anytime our students be utilizing their tool, that their identifiable information is not being stored or is within a barrier that we have, can ensure that it's not going anywhere. All right, so some of our next steps is updating student handbooks to include an academic integrity statement. It does not currently include that, and so our committee worked to put one together, and so including that in our handbooks, and not just around AI, but just in general, and basically that students' work is students' work. Then we'll be reviewing all of our technology vendors for AI usage, verifying their adherence to guidelines. We're also planning some professional development for this fall. This summer for administrators and office staff will receive some training this summer on utilization of it in their work. And then we'll be doing professional development for instructional staff when they come back in the fall. We have a number of sessions for teachers on appropriate usage, going over all of these principles so that they understand them before they start the school year. And then we'll also be doing some work around educating our parents and students on what is appropriate and usage and what is not appropriate usage and what to expect when you're using AI. A lot of our students are already using it personally, as well as I know we have some using it for school work. And so we'll be updating sort of their expectations with guidelines as well. Now, any questions?
Mr. Miller, first and foremost, thank you for your presentation and the committee's work on that. That was very thorough. Mr. Reimer.
I am very, very concerned about this tool. This tool has the potential to be one of the most disruptive tools in our society that we've ever encountered. You think cell phones have changed the way we interact with people. This tool is very dangerous. Not only that, I have fears about the vendors who are providing access to these tools because the legal work has not kept up with the advances in this technology, and the assurances of security by some of these vendors may be hollow. I appreciate the work being done, but I think in some cases, some of the wrong questions are being asked, and some of the work is focused on the wrong initiatives. I think one of the biggest things we have to worry about is preventing the kids from losing the education that they would normally have if they were not using AI in the long term. And especially young kids need to be protected from this technology, much like we try to protect them from phones. At the same time, I understand the need to expose students to AI, but I argue, and I hope that you guys are very conservative about this and put limits that include, if it were up to me, I would host an LLM in an enclosed environment that only a few could get to. Unfortunately, that's not possible because we are able to get to the internet and get to it in most places. But I would even propose blocking as much AI as possible coming into the school network. We just saw a demonstration of its potential disruption 2 days ago when the Ukrainians launched a bunch of drones that were auto-directed. They had no human guidance on them, and they attacked the Russian strategic air fleet and eliminated 30% of it. That's an example of how powerful it can be. That also should be a warning of how dangerous it can be. And I feel like we need some board interaction with this group, maybe a special work session where they do a deeper dive with us. And that's the only action item I can think of other than appointing a board member to sit with the committee as well. I hope you understand the intent that I am making these statements with. I feel a little bit like a senator, but I do fear some of the potential unforeseen consequences of introducing this too soon. And especially if we don't think, and we can't think through all of the possible consequences, because that's how disruptive this technology is. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Reimer. I think your comments, everybody can agree with them to a degree. This is a very fast-moving, powerful tool, as you suggested, and I think your comments will be taken under advisement, and we'll consider them further. Mr. Vaught.
Yeah, and I, to a degree, agree with what you're saying. But I think that parents felt the same thing in the late sixties and early seventies with calculators and math. The wheels of technology will turn. We won't stop those in New Kent County. But if we properly regulate and properly teach and properly train, we can at least keep the staff and students safe to a degree. And which leads me to my next question and comment. In terms of AI, because it is going to be a prevailing factor in all of our lives, especially education. Mr. Chair, I think we may need to review our policy on curriculum and discuss how AI and that policy might interact moving ahead in terms of curriculum. The other concern that I have is the enforcement or regulation piece. Because you can go online right now and write an entire novel through AI, just filling in the blanks, and it comes out. And that doesn't mean that it's right or wrong, but as a student, that truncates my education in terms of instead of learning proper literary function, I can just fill in a blank. And my concern would be how do we more properly enforce and govern and define that with the use of AI in the education system. And I really, I believe that the board, I agree, I would love to have one, if not two board members participate in meeting with respect to this. And also deep diving into policy in which we can develop, and then also having Mr. Miller or his group come up with the regulations and the what happens if this student, or what happens if, it's prepared through AI rather than, so that's my comment and my concern with that.
Thank you, Mr. Vaught. Mr. Dombrowski?
Johanna, could you go back to the slide just before? So updating student habits with academic integrity statement. Do they have to sign anything right now and return it? Or is that anything that would be considered to have them sign off that they're making that statement that they will not use it outside of the parameters that have been provided to them?
Thank you. Currently, there's not an academic integrity statement in any of our handbooks. And so we've considered whether or not have to sign it or just acknowledge that it's a part of, basically it's in that handbook, so they're expected to follow it. And as some institutions, basically teachers will put it on like tests and things like that, and to remind students, hey, this is expected to be your work. And so right now, the intent is to have it in the handbooks. We definitely look at maybe whatever for students.
I'm sure there's, the process of collecting them and making sure who's turned them in, and then what's the consequence if they haven't. So I know it gets complicated really fast, but it would be great to have something if they could sign off on that they are aware
We,
of
we
it.
can do it through digital signature with the rest of the hand, so that way we're not passing, but we have, and as we state to families and students, even if you don't sign it, you're still held accountable for it.
Right.
This is the mechanism there.
Right,
So
right.
we have a vehicle that we do that currently and could weave that for,
Great.
for sure.
And then my second question is this something that we are going to need like a policy for the policy manual, or is it just going to stay in code and student code and conduct for right now?
We've had some internal discussions about that. We wanted to, this has been basically years worth of work across the Commonwealth, but for our team specifically, to really kind of bring it to you tonight, get some of this feedback that we're getting,
Mhm.
and look at next steps to potentially include policy, to include regulations, and with it evolving at the rate it has just this year, you know, getting ahead of it may not be a reality, but making sure that we have the structures in place so that we can move and be nimble and take care of kids and families and staff. So, so I think we will look at that moving forward.
Great. And then just my last question, if there's any kind of ideas for what, I mean, I know with students, you can work with them in the schools, but as far as parents, I would love them extra help navigating that world. Do you have any kind of ideas at this point? How that professional development for parents might look?
Yeah, so we've talked through basically having informational sites that we can point parents to, as well as basically creating videos or some type of material that we can push out to parents. Also happy to host sort of evenings for parents to talk through what are our guidelines and what should they expect.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's it.
Shkunya?
Yes, I have experience from this. I was an instructor, an online instructor, where I had to score essays in various subjects: U.S. history, U.S. government, world history, world geography. And one of the things that was the most frustrating was when this AI thing started happening, and there weren't any guidelines, specific guidelines given to students and to the instructors, and we were all over the place. Some people were very liberal with the scoring, and some were not. I think the best advice I can give from my personal experience is to not put the cart before the horse and make sure that you have everything in place as far as have guidelines in place, you know, decide over the summer what exactly those guidelines are going to be. Make sure that teachers get the professional development they need and that they're all on the same page, because one of the hardest things is when someone is not on the same page. One teacher expects this, another teacher expects that, and that's not fair to the students either. They need to be taught how to use AI responsibly. You mentioned the part about citing your sources, and that's not just a poster isn't going to do it. That poster is a good start, I think, for the middle school level, but it really needs to be more structured guidelines and instruction on how to use AI properly. And I just would like to also see that within the content area, within the subject area, for example, history, that all the teachers would be using the same standard and that it would be communicated very succinctly and clearly. Both parents and students and teachers knowing what the guidelines are. And I think we're going to, like you said, Mr. Vaught, we're going to need to be involved in that process, because if we don't, it's just going to be very confusing. I worry about academic integrity. Students at this stage don't really understand that if they're not really taught that. And they can be taught that AI is just another tool, it's just another reference source. But my experience with some students is that they hate to write, for example, an essay, and they will take the shortcut, they will take the easy way out. And they're really missing out on an opportunity of research and thinking for themselves and formulating their ideas and then writing them in written format. And that's part of being educated. And I think it helps them also be better communicators in the future, regardless of what path they take out after high school. So I think that we really need to, I know it's moving at a very fast pace, but we really need to do this smartly and make sure we have everything set before we launch this kind of thing and students start using it on a large scale. because then we're gonna have all kinds of problems.
Mr. Chairman, some places are going back to low-tech remedies like Blue Books.
Yes, I've read that.
And I'm not sure that that isn't part of our remedy.
Sorry, you said again, I missed that, I'm sorry.
Blue books for exams, examinations.
Well, and not that we don't worry about the in-school part, like we have some mechanisms and controls and things. We send these kids home, we want them to have that integrity, we want them to have their,
Understood.
yeah. So for us, it's the total package. We know what we can do and what we control here. But that Blue Book just brought back all kinds of.
Oh, yeah, cramped hands.
I have a little, I have a little bit of a different perspective on this. I think AI was a tool several years ago. Today, it's a monster.
Yeah.
And if you don't know about AI, and I don't claim to know a lot, but it's 10xing every 18 months. It used to be regenerative. It's not regenerative anymore. It's now adaptive. Sam Altman, who created OpenAI, now just launched a new company with two of the smartest people on the planet Earth to put adaptive AI into every single thing that we touch. We're not getting ahead of it. We can create a framework, and by the time we do that, the framework is going to be outdated. So that's the fear, unfortunately, is controlling the expectation about how we build a framework that helps the students. And I'll take it even one step further. You can't really avoid it. So everybody knows if you start to type a text message or an email, this thing is finishing it for you. You don't even have to think, right? If now it's on the phone, if I leave myself a message, 2 + 2, it just puts 4 in. I didn't even type the 4. It just does it anyway, right? You can't shut it off. And I think it becomes more and more invasive in everything that we do. And it has a huge impact on all areas, but especially education. Right? You know, the idea that I've got to figure out an algebra problem, I can just talk to my phone right now and it'll give me the answer instantly. It's terrifying at the same time as it is amazing. And I don't know how, you incorporate how fast this monster is growing to prevent it. It's going to be in our kids' lives more than it is ours, so I do think, and I love the framework that you and the committee put together. I do think moving fast on this is important because we're not avoiding it.
Yeah.
And that'll give us the ability to adapt a little bit quicker, if that makes sense. But I don't think personally, we're ever getting ahead of it.
I can respond.
Please.
Yeah, I agree. We're not gonna get ahead of it. And if we're not exposing our students to it and teaching them appropriate ways of utilizing it, we're doing a disservice, and they'll graduate from us with skills without skills that other kids from other counties will have, and will have a leg up.
Absolutely agree.
And so to just block it and avoid using it, we are doing a disservice.
I agree.
So, but we need to use it responsibly. Completely agree.
And I think we take the same philosophy, and I heard this in your comments, Mr. Brownberg. We limit technology, the early grades, and then, it's the same. Like, I don't anticipate we're gonna have our pre-K kids and Claude and ChatGPT and do, kind of working that through and kind of figuring those pieces. I'm on several regional boards, regional schools, and they're battling the same thing. I know colleges and universities. So I do think, what do we do as a school division with a lot of things, and, how does this line up with our framework and those pieces? But that's why we brought this together to you today, to show you all the work we've been doing, but also get your feedback and get those next steps so that we continue to work together and potentially bring this as a work session item or look at some policy pieces but great feedback for us and the team. I want to thank, while my name is on there, I was the least contributing member of the team. So I really want to thank the team for all the work that they did. So I was just behind Sean Terry for that. So.
Thank you, Mr. Miller.
Thank you,
No,
Mr.
thank you.
Miller.
Thank you so much. And the rest of you who
So,
worked on
so
it.
Mr. Chairman,
Thank
just to, you're a little pessimistic. There are things that we can do technically to help manage it. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't expose kids to it at some point. We could create two networks, one that isn't attached to the internet, for instance. Just,
Yeah.
off the top of my head.
Yeah, I don't know that pessimistic is the right word for me, but whatever
Your
the
vision is
whatever the
very pessimistic.
whatever the descriptive. No, it's not pessimistic. It's realistic.
Right.
in terms of how big and invasive AI will become in all of our lives. And I think that was your initial
Yes.
concern. But to cut to the chase, I think this is, and Dr. Nichols and several board members, I think, suggested this is ripe for a work session. This is a deep dive that we need to, expand on or with the work that the committee has already done and maybe have some input and envelop those ideas, but move it along as fast as we can to get the kids exposed to it, learn from it, and protect them from it with all of our concerns involved. All right, Ms. Morgan, the SNS rate increase and update, please.
This should generate just as much discussion.
Oh, boy.
Dr. Nichols. This is good stuff here. Tonight I'm bringing you a request to increase our meal pricing. Each year, the Section 205 aims to ensure that we aren't using federal funds to subsidize our paid meals. I will say that our team did recommend a price increase last year, and Dr. Nichols and I really had a deep dive with them to try to hold those meal prices in place for one additional year. So we did know that this was coming. I believe we presented that at the board meeting last year. So you will see a quarter increase. So for elementary lunch and breakfast, the new pricing for next year will be $3.25 and $2.25. The middle school will be $3.50 and $2.50, and the high school will be $3.75 and $2.75. Additionally, school nutrition, our school nutrition in particular does a great job of keeping their fund balance very rich, and we're very grateful for that. Unfortunately, the state only really allows them to have about 3 months of operating expense in their fund balance. So when we do have a reserve, we really do try to utilize those funds for different equipment items, staff increases and payments for school nutrition. But they really are self-sufficient. We really appreciate all of the hard work that they do.
Is the 25-cent raise enough to cover the cost?
It is, and honestly, I think Ms. Smith would not like me to say this. I think we could probably cover a little bit more, but there is a tool that we're provided by VDOE to calculate what our pricing really should be. And if we are able to say that we can locally fund some of those things, we're able to kind of hold off on it, but they really do try to get you actually to increase based on what the tool tells you your price should be. So that's what we're trying to do.
Thank you. Any other board member have a question or a comment?
Mr. Chair, are we comparable to most places? Are we significantly under?
I could look, I can look that up and get that information to you. I think we're probably fairly comparable. I think there are some divisions that provide CEP, everybody is free. And so there's different nuances with some of that. So those might not be as comparable because there really isn't like a price that a parent is paying. But for the most part, I would think based on the prices that we're paying for food in particular, these are very good prices for school lunches and breakfasts.
Great, thank you. Dr. Nichols, you are up, sir. Next item is school board goals review and update. First item is Project New Kent Elementary School.
Yes, sir. So Project New Kent Elementary School, and this will be loaded in board docs as well. So this is a multi-page update, really aimed at the Board of Supervisors for their work session last week. And it's all information that we've all seen. We just wanted to put it together in a easy to digest format. So I really want to thank Handy Moorkheim and also Ashley Meredith for bringing this to life. The picture at the top of that is really when we did the joint tour with this board and the previous board. We walked every square inch of that facility and really showed why a renovation is not a solution for New Kent Elementary and why we must move forward with a new build. The Board of Supervisors did allocate that funding for us that we had in an account to begin that design process. We did a design committee. Ms. Cunha and Mr. Pagano are on that, as well as a wide array of members, which is all in this packet. So we've been off and running on that and very excited about our progress, really working hard through that piece. Last week, the Board of Supervisors did meet about a potential tax increase. They did decide at that meeting to delay the funding of the New Kent Elementary School project. So Ms. Morheim, well, actually, this whole office went over there for that meeting to be there and to listen and so we are kind of regrouping off of that. We were hopeful and anticipating a move forward on the funding of that project because as a team internally, we're ready to go. We have a concept, we have an architect, we are ready to fully do the design pieces and move forward with the new school. We still believe that that is the right path and what our students at New Kent Elementary School deserve. So our intent, which is worthy of future more discussion, is to continue moving forward. We have the funding set aside to do a substantial amount of that design. We still, and I believe the board, I don't want to speak for you, but every conversation we've had is full speed ahead to continue pursuing that while continuing to advocate for funding. While it was stated as a delay, I don't want to get to this time next year with another delay. We have systems that are at end of life and beyond end of life of the school. And we've intentionally delayed replacing some of those because we're moving forward with a new school. So we're at this crossroads with the project. And we still feel like we need to move forward on the design piece with it. So that's really the update that I have for you, board members. I've not had any conversations. We met with Mr. Hathaway today, which is always a great meeting, and talk about future planning, but it's in terms of any other conversations, I have not had any since that work session. I do plan to meet with the New Kent Elementary School faculty. As you can imagine, that news was kind of devastating for a school that felt like they had momentum. So I'm going to try to touch base with them on Wednesday. Just to talk about kind of our commitment or my commitment and the work we have to do moving forward. So that is basically a summary of an update, but happy to answer any questions or fill in.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Reiner?
Mr. Superintendent, if you want any board participation in your presentation to the teachers, I volunteer myself, and I'm sure there'd be other members on this one.
Thanks, sir.
All right, strategic plan update?
Sorry.
Oh, I
Have a
apologize,
question.
Mr.
Yeah,
Vaughn.
No worries. If board members, if you have not talked to your fellow board of supervisors representative in your district, please do. I had this conversation with mine. I reiterated the things that are needed at New Kent Elementary, went back through the safety issues and concerns. Just to make certain that he was fully aware of what exactly was needed and what was going on. I really feel like at this point, asking for the funding is one thing. I believe we need to move it up to the next step and contend for it. This isn't, we're not just building it because it's an eyesore, which it is, as far as I'm concerned. But the bigger issue is the safety concerns for the students, things like that. So I believe as a board, I felt like I haven't contended for this. I've asked, I've talked about it, but I am actively contending for these funds and for this school to be built as soon as possible. So I would just respectfully request that fellow board members, if you would do that and be persistent, consistent, to the point that it's not easily forgotten.
Mr.
Thank
Vaughn,
you.
I think that's a great point. I have done the same with my cohort, but to let it lie now for another year, I think is a mistake. I
Yeah.
think if we continually push the need for it, that it will pay dividends in the long run.
Thank you.
Dombrowski?
Was there a breakdown provided to the Board of Supervisors outlining the cost of what the rebuild would be compared to the renovation? Because when I talked to my cohort, if I understood her correctly, she did not have the numbers provided to her.
Well, and that's one of the things that Ms. Moreham and I, in conversation that we've been having since is, you know, what else do we need to provide and in what detail? We have it all. Like we've been doing the groundwork on this for a couple of years now. We've done an extensive feasibility study. I can tell you we spent $30,000 just this spring to keep HVAC up and running. The pros, the cons, why you can't. So I think it's the level of detail. We have it. And board members, if you think it's beneficial, happy to try to coordinate some sort of in-depth conversation about just this topic and get everybody in a room and whatever works. I, quite frankly, was, what's the word? A little taken aback because we worked very hard to communicate deliberately throughout this process. That door stays open, this phone stays on. Any question that needs to be asked can be asked throughout the process. So I'm not sure what else is needed, but I guarantee we have it. And I will meet anywhere, anytime with anyone to really discuss. I believe this is a project that has to happen for the kids in New Kent Elementary. And I'm willing to advocate, contend, and do anything we can do to make that happen. So if there is a gap, I'm happy to close.
Mr. Smith, we presented that information.
Yes, we did.
Yeah,
I was
the
going to
work-
mention that.
joint work sessions.
Yes, we did. Mr. Chair,
Ms. Quinney?
I'm gonna piggyback on what you said, because I remember very clearly when we invited the supervisors on that tour, that even before we went and did a tour of the building, we discussed why it was not feasible financially and for safety reasons to repair or renovate the existing school. And those numbers were shared with all the supervisors. I remember that distinctly. I too have had conversations with District 2 supervisor. And in fact, he was part of the design committee for the new school. So I think that, again, I know that I'm going to keep pushing for, I think we're all in agreement that this is very important. No, even to the point where children are now in classrooms that don't have windows. A student, if you're in the middle school or high school, at least you get to change classes every 45 minutes or 50 minutes. But there are children right now that are in an elementary school classroom for the majority of the day without natural sunlight coming in, without windows. And that's just one small piece of why we want to get this done. So I'm definitely in support of our continuing push for this.
All right, thank you very much. Strategic plan update, Dr. Nichols.
Yes, sir. So board members, we've started presenting the adopted strategic plan monthly in small chunks. And so tonight is no different. So tonight we're going to do goal 3, organizational efficiency and effectiveness. So that's really optimizing division efficiency and effectiveness, strengthening structures and processes and systems to really just, dollars are tight. Can we be more efficient and more effective? Just as one example, but all throughout this goal. So we have a number of strategies under that goal. So tonight, and key performance indicators. So tonight, really just want to focus in on one. We've already had a lot of conversation about it, which is why we chose this strategy. And that is implement AI-driven solutions when appropriate across instructional, financial, and operational domains to improve decision making. So we talked a lot about the student side of it, but there's also the business side of it for us as well. So that just seemed to really fit in terms of, we already had a long conversation about AI, so let's not introduce a different strategy. So one of the key performance indicators that we talked about is stakeholder committees and representation, which I think fits perfectly with a number of the suggestions that were made from board members tonight. So the good news is that this is also reflected in our strategic plan and something we're accountable for making progress on and updating the board on. So I don't have a deep presentation because I had a feeling we would have significant discussion. Once again, that is the guiding principles document draft form that you just saw across all of those domains covered in the strategy. Next month, board members, I'm really excited, not that I'm not excited about goal 3, but to talk about goal 4 and strengthening partnerships. Behind the scenes, we've been working on a brand new website And you will be amazed at how much further that pushes us forward in terms of communication. So by next month, we should be live. And I'll walk you through some of the components and why we've made some of the decisions and how that'll push us forward even further in terms of strengthening partnerships with community and families. So, Mr. Chair, that's my quick strategic plan update.
Thank you, Dr. Nichols. The next item is policy review and revision. This is me bringing back before the board a follow-up to the discussion we had at the work session immediately prior to. So this will be your last opportunity to discuss or comment on the revision or deletion of policy AFA regarding school board member self-evaluations. And board members, please correct me if I'm wrong, but our discussion led us all, I believe, to agree that we were going to remove the requirement of school board self-evaluation. That will come before us a little bit later on as an action item. Mr. Reimer, do you have any comment or input?
No, as long as we're still, posing on mobile.
Okay, Mr. Vaught,
No,
Mr. Brodsky. Okay, Ms. Cunha?
No.
All right, and moving on. Items for vote of consideration tonight, we had no submissions. So moving on to item number 9 on the agenda, unfinished business. Ms. Morgheim, regarding superintendent fiscal year 26 operating budget and SIP.
Mr. Chair, board members, Dr. Nichols, tonight we are asking for you to adopt our approved budget, both the operating budget and the capital improvement plan. However, before we adopt it, I would like to offer an amendment to the general operating budget. It's provided in the document in board docs, and basically, based on what Dr. Nichols said about goal 3 and dollars are tight, we're looking at every position that becomes available to see what more can we do with items that we weren't able to include in our original budget. So you'll see a breakdown. Basically, we had a middle school PE position that became vacant. And so we looked at how could we rework that position and cover it in different ways to provide 3 additional paraprofessional positions. One is for the new VPI position that we added. And then 2 of those are for the cross-cap position at Quinton Elementary School. There's a need for 3. So the 3rd one will have to reutilize in-house, but also we're looking to add 1 teacher in residence. We actually have about 6 or 7 of those that we'd like to have for next year. Ms. Anderson does a great job in bringing those folks in, and they really truly do end up becoming our teachers for the next calendar fiscal year. So we're hoping to get more of those. But right now you'll see the additional items in here were items I believe that you discussed at your last work session, changes that the school board would like to make internally just to your specific school board budget line items. So you'll see those changes detailed there. And then just a note that we are trying to hold 1 teaching position currently to be able to fund additional teachers in residence and a part-time administrative assistant in our high school. I honestly really don't believe that we'll be able to do that. I do think that we're going to need that position for kindergarten and possibly 1 additional position that currently is not budgeted also for kindergarten. So I just did want to put that there just to let you know that we are trying to really squeeze as much as we have out of the budget that we're adopting. But those are the amendments. So I'm asking you to approve those amendments first and then to adopt that for the budget.
I have just a point of clarification for the rest of the board with respect to the funds allotted to the school board members for professional development, and et cetera. And I think some of the board members had brought it up in our discussion. In lieu of direct support for a certain athletic team and or a school board based scholarship, that the proper mechanism was to just reallocate those funds back into the budget generally, and they can be put where they're needed. Is that
That is
accurate?
correct. That is my recommendation. You as a school board will approve and adopt a budget every year based on the information that we're bringing to you as to what each department and or school's goals, initiatives, needs are. So when you are looking to make a donation per se from those funds, I think it's more appropriate that you recognize that that's a need and you realign your budget to match. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So what we've
Yep.
done is we've taken the $2,000. Mr. Spiak will be very excited. We've shifted it into the budgeted line item for athletics.
Very good.
Very good.
So
Thank you
it-
very much.
Sorry, Mr. Chair. So
Please.
that means it could change every year where it goes to, or it's just always gonna go to?
Any line
athletics?
item in the budget could be changed by you all through the budget conversations that we're having.
Gotcha.
So again, then if you find there's a need for XYZ program or a different event or something, we could have those conversations, shift those budget line items, and we can do transfers during the year. But this is very helpful in having them to plan, know that you hear their need and that you're making that adjustment on their behalf.
So we're supporting the district and the budget as a whole by reallocating those unused funds that we have, putting them back into the budget as opposed to doing what we had or was talked about before and supporting this team, this student, that student, just putting it back into the budget overall.
If there were a need that were to arise, if you felt like another department or we needed additional funds, that would be something that we could look to bring a transfer request to you. So if we found a line item maybe that was not using their funds or that we have a higher need, we would be coming to you and asking for you to then transfer those funds in the middle of the school year.
Got it. Does anybody else have any questions or comments for Ms. Morgan?
No.
Thank you very
I-
much. Oh, sorry, Ms.
I have
Quinn.
one quick question, and I don't know if it's, well, it's kind of related to the AI thing, but is there going to be more money needed to make sure that we have the funds we need for professional development and all that in that area, or is that taken care of? For this year.
Specifically for the school board or for,
No,
we always need more funding.
the answer is we always need more funding. Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, but I think the question was for the record that do we need more funding to address professional development in the scope of the AI discussion we had?
But probably, I'll be honest with you, Ms. Cunha, there are a lot of things that this team does very well with doing more with less. And over the years of doing that, we're really getting close to where we can't squeeze as much out as we can. It's been a lot of really difficult conversations with this team. There's a lot of needs and we have to prioritize them and it's very difficult. So kudos to everyone in this room for doing that. I'm very proud to work here with this group, but absolutely, we could use some additional funds, but that doesn't mean that we won't get it done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I do want to, Haney said, thank you to the team. Like this work can't happen without Haney's absolute brilliance. So what she brings to the table and how she brings us all around to make this happen. This is the toughest. This is budget number 6. It is the toughest, leanest. No, typically Haney and I can get in a room and figure something out. We had a conversation today. The College of William Mary would love, we've 7 teachers in residence we could have. We can't do. Like we cannot, that is 7 teachers who would be with us for the next 3 years in special education, in math, in the like critical positions. And we don't have any room in this budget to make that happen, much less we have 2 schools where we'll probably have to add another kindergarten teacher because of increased enrollment. And there is no buffer. So just incredible work that Haney leads for us just to get us to this point where we're able to do the salary increase and do the step and, add the cross, all of those different pieces. We've done a lot, but the cuts that we've had to do to make that happen included some pretty significant position. It's gonna be tough. We'll line up, we'll make it happen, we'll do what's best for New Kent and our kids. But we definitely need some help. Thank you, Hank.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Miller, you're up, sir. Federal programs, grant, second read.
Speaking of money.
Good evening. Last month, I presented to you on our federal program grants. We have titles 1, 2, 3, and 4. They're up for vote tonight. Received no questions this last meeting, but happy to answer any that may come up this evening. If you have any.
Anybody?
No questions, not from me.
That was easy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Yeah.
Brown. Mr. Hockman, Code of Conduct Review, second read.
Chair, members of the board, Dr. Nichols. You'll recall last time that the wonderful assistant principal at George Watkins, Ms. Sutton, came up here and presented to you all the code of conduct recommended changes. One of the things we did go back and do for things that were in section F, which was labeled persistently dangerous. Initially, we had it for levels 1 through 5. That has been updated to where anything that is a persistently dangerous code would be a level 4 or 5, which is the most serious in terms of outcomes. So beyond that, that is all that has been changed for the code of conduct. I'm available for questions or review if you would like.
Thank you, Mr. Hockman. Any board member have a question, comment, or input?
Thank you for doing that.
All right, thank you, sir.
Yep, thank you.
All right, Dr. Nichols, VSBA policy update, second read.
Yes, sir. So last board meeting, you had a first read on VSBA policy updates. So this is coming before you for a second read and asking for a vote. I did receive a question in between regarding memorandum of understanding with the sheriff's department, which we do have and we update annually. That's an incredible partnership of ours that we continue to work through. And the other part of that was on seclusion and restraint, to which I provided our process, our policy, and our protocol around that piece. So outside of that, board members, I haven't fielded any questions, but I'm happy to answer anything that you may have. Most of these were just regulatory and code changes and aligning those.
Thank you, Dr. Nichols. Any board member have a question?
I do.
Go ahead, Mr. Brodsky.
Okay, policy BBBB, student representative, there's a section where it talks about where we could insert procedures here.
Yes.
So I wondered if that was something that we would want to consider doing and when we would do that.
So I believe we developed procedures related to that piece, so we would just put them
Just
in
insert
there
those
with
in.
us. That was, you guys adopted a policy and then procedures or regulations related to that.
Right. So that
Yeah.
would just be included before it's posted, once after we approve it, the
Yes, ma'am.
procedures.
Yes.
And then JECB, admission of non-public students for part-time enrollment.
Mhm.
There are two options that were listed. Do we need to specify which option we're going to adopt?
Again, with those.
Madam Clerk, you have a comment?
We've already used one of the options, so that would be the option. I just wanted you guys to have, but that would be the option that we would take. That's already in our policy manual.
Okay, so,
Yeah, so
Okay,
yeah,
it's
we
optional.
have, one of those options is already in there, and of course, this is not loading. So that is just an update to the code piece related to that option.
okay,
If that makes sense.
okay,
Yeah. So policy updated, legal references and cross references updated, and footnote added. That is for our option of JECB. So there's no change to JECB, our policy that we currently have.
okay,
Related to that, it just updates it for that, but there are two different JECBs. I'd have to get you the one we do not utilize.
okay.
Uh,
And then JHDA, human research, in the first paragraph, the word questionnaires is underlined and reference to footnote 1, advising that board should modify the sentence to identify their division's adopted policy on surveys and questionnaires. Do we have a different policy? I should have looked, I'm sorry, I didn't think to look at the current policies in place to compare them to what's already been adopted and what, if anything, has changed. So let me remove that question about that.
Okay.
And I'll look at that. And then KA, goals for school community relations. It says the school board sets goals and standards for school community relations and regularly evaluates its relationship with the public. The fact that that is coming up on the strengthening.
Mhm.
I just wanted to point that out and
how are we going to be involved and be doing that
Absolutely.
to make sure that, is that something the five of us need to be, if we're setting goal, if it says the school board sets goals and standards, is that the five of us or is that the school board administration?
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Reimer?
Mr. Superintendent, is that not part of the strategic plan?
Yeah, and I think that was the part of the point Ms. Dabrowski was making. Yeah, so goal 4, which the board did adopt, has several strategies around finding out that information, or potential of surveys and different ways to gather that information. To your direct question, Ms. Dabrowski, I think that's a board decision related about, is that actually the board setting the goal, or is that the board through the superintendent and the
Right.
administrator, which I think we
Right.
talked about, related to other strategies.
Right.
School
something I
board is
wanted to-
capitalized, so it should be the board. Next.
Yeah,
Should
just
be the
something I
board.
wanted to bring forward as far as looking
Anything
to
further?
address it in some way.
Nope.
Nope.
Anybody else?
Nothing.
All right, thank you. Madam Clerk, for the record, could you confirm that we do not have any citizen comments?
We do not.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, board members, we are now moving on to action items. The first action item is the consider approval of the policy revision or deletion for school board evaluation. So do I have a motion to remove the school board self-evaluation from policy AFA as presented?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, Ms. Davis, please poll the board.
Mr. Reimer.
Aye.
Mr. Vaughn.
Aye.
Ms. Dombrowski.
Aye.
Ms. Cunha.
Aye.
Mr. Pagano.
Aye. All right, motion passes unanimously. Moving on. Do I hear a motion to approve the amendments and adopt the superintendent's approved fiscal year budget and SIP as presented?
So moved.
Ms. Cunha has the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Vaught has the second. Ms. Davis, please poll the board.
Mr. Reimer.
Aye.
Mr. Vaughn.
Aye.
Ms. Dombrowski.
Aye.
Ms. Cunha.
Aye.
Mr. Pagano.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Moving on, do I hear a motion to approve the federal programs application as presented?
So moved.
Mr. Vaught has the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Reimer has the second. Ms. Davis, please poll the board.
Mr. Reimer.
Aye.
Mr. Vaughn.
Aye.
Ms. Dombrowski.
Aye.
Ms. Cunha.
Aye.
And Mr. Pagano.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Ms. Davis, do you need time or are you good?
I'm good.
Great. Do I have a motion to approve the code of conduct as presented by Mr. Hockman?
So moved.
Ms. Dombrowski has the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Cunha has the second. Ms. Davis, please poll the board.
Mr. Reimer.
Aye.
Mr. Vaughn.
Aye.
Ms. Dombrowski.
Aye.
Ms. Cunha.
Aye.
Mr. Pagano.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Do I hear a motion to approve the VSBA policy updates as presented?
So moved.
Mr. Vaught has the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Reimer has a second. Ms. Davis, please poll the board.
Mr. Reimer.
Aye.
Mr. Vaughn.
Aye.
Ms. Dombrowski.
Aye.
Ms. Cunha.
Aye.
Mr. Pagano.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. And the last one of the evening, the most important one of the evening. Do I have a motion to approve the superintendent's contract as
So moved.
presented?
So moved.
Mr. Vaught has the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Dombrowski has the second. Ms. Davis, please poll the board.
Mr. Reimer.
Aye.
Mr. Vaughn.
Aye.
Ms. Dombrowski.
Aye.
Ms. Cunha.
Aye.
Mr. Pagano.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. All right, action items are taken care of. We are now in our comment section. Mr. Reimer, any comments this evening, sir?
Yes. I would like to reiterate the superintendent's praise for his staff in dealing with the unambiguously difficult budgets that we've had to deal with the last couple of years. I will continue to advocate with my representative, supervisor representative for more money for the schools. The county is growing at rapid pace, faster than what's been planned for, and there's a stress on many of our services. But I think, well, I intend to continue to convey the message that the school is doing better with little money than most districts, and that we are rapidly approaching a place where hard decisions will start to impact meaningfully the education of our community's students. Thank you very much for your hard work on this, and I'll continue to work for you.
Thank you, Mr. Reimer. Mr. Vaught.
Yeah, I just wanted to, make those aware who are not, most of the board or all the board is very aware, I will be absent in person for 2 months. It's a necessary, action. I would rather be here. But I want to assure you that I will be participating from a distance and, actively involved in the school board process and everything that's going on in spite of my physical absence here. And I too would like to echo Mr. Reimer's thanks to an amazing administration. Dr. Nichols, your team is, as we strive for excellence, fits that category in every way, shape, and form. And the new teachers coming in, the ones that are going to remain with us, it's exciting. And we look for even more amazing things to happen each year as we move forward. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Nebraska.
I have to ditto again those comments. Just so grateful for everything you all do. Really, very couldn't be happier and know that you all put a lot of work into it. So I hope you never feel from me that I don't appreciate that. I really do. And I want to wish all the teachers and students a happy summer and same to the teachers. Thank you all for everything you do and doing such tremendous things for our students.
Thank you. Ms. Cunha.
Ditto. No, as we end the 24-25 school year, I'm so amazed and so proud of all the achievement and accomplishments that our students, along with the teachers and staff and administration, Dr. Nichols, have accomplished, whether it be academic achievements or in the arts, in the field of the arts or athletics. We are very proud of each and every student and staff member, and I'm so excited to envision what will the next school year will bring for all of us.
Thank you very much. I'm not going to say ditto, but I echo the comments of my colleagues, and we can't say it enough. And just kind of recapping what I said at the awards dinner, you're from the teachers to the maintenance to the administration to Dr. Nichols' team to all my colleagues on the board, the participation, the hard work, the drive for excellence in terms of money or kids or school buses, every piece of that is super important to run this machine. And, for the short while that I've known all you guys, I'm super impressed with your knowledge and your ability to get it done. Your cohesion as a team is very, very impressive. And I don't say that lightly coming, I run several businesses, finding the right people to work together that understand the higher goal and get it done and get it across the finish line is incredibly difficult to do. It speaks to Dr. Nichols' leadership, but even without him, I believe that you guys have what it takes. I'm super impressed with every one of you guys. Just thank you very much for all your hard work. Dr. Nichols.
Thank you, sir. It's an incredible time of year. If you don't know, we're finishing school in like 3 days, 1 whole day and 2 half days, not that anybody's counting. And we'll be on the graduation stage. It has been an incredible year. Just thankful to the team I get to work with, the students and families I serve, and to this board for your leadership and work that you've done this year. We've accomplished a lot. In the moment, you don't feel like it. You feel like you're treading water, and you look back, it's like, oh, we did this and we did that. And just really excited. Just to give you a preview of graduation night, 72% of the class of 2025 are enrolled in post-secondary to 4-year trade schools. 6% will serve this great nation and enlist in that pathway. And then 22% will take those skills and certifications and go right into the workforce and do amazing things. So really excited, and just I got the best job in the world because I get to work with amazing kids and staff, and it's just a lot of fun to do this work, which you don't hear superintendents say often.
And will for the next 4 years.
So it's interesting. 6 years ago, Friday, on the 30th, I signed a contract to come here, which was the single best decision I've made in my professional life. And the opportunity to extend that, board members, I am humble, I am grateful, and I am fired up about the chapter 7 of this story. So thank you. It means the world to me that you have that faith in us, and we will deliver tenfold. I promise. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, everybody, that wraps up our meeting. The next meeting of the school board will be our regular meeting on Tuesday, July 15th, to be held here in the historic courthouse boardroom, beginning at 6 p.m. The closed session will begin at 5:30 p.m. With that, our meeting is adjourned according to this brand new giant clock here at 7:25 p.m. Thank you.